All right, so for the worksheet today, we've got writing vertex form of parabolas. So vertex form, which you're going to use on every one of these problems, is your y equals a times x minus h, quantity squared, plus k. All right, so every one of these problems is going to be in that form when you write it. So what does that mean? Well, that means you need to know your a value as well as you need to know your h and your k. So here's the thing is, as soon as you can get it into standard form, like this problem is a really good example, once it's in standard form, you already know the a value. So whatever this is, in this case, my a is just 1, I already know it. Here, a is 1. Here, a is going to be 2. Here, a is negative 1. So you know the a. That actually makes it pretty easy. So the only other thing we need to know is the vertex, in which case you're going to want to use our other formula, which is, go ahead and just put it up here, h equals negative b over 2a. That's our formula we learned just recently to let us find the vertex when it's in standard form. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's start with h equals negative b, so negative 16, over 2a. All right, so we work that out. That's going to be negative 16 over 2, which is negative 8. Cool. The last thing I need to do now is, so I know my h, I need my k. So my k is going to be, if I take my h and I substitute it in. So that's going to be negative 8 squared plus 16 times negative 8 plus 71. So more than likely, probably going to want to just calculator on those. And if you're going to use a calculator, use it correctly. Substitute into with parentheses. So negative 8 quantity squared plus 16 times negative 8 plus 71. So it gets 7. All right, sweet. So now I have every piece of information I need. I have a, I have h, I have k. Okay, write it out. Y equals, a is 1. So when it's 1, you don't have to write it. I mean, you can, it doesn't hurt anything. X minus h, so x minus negative 8 becomes a plus. And then plus k, so plus 7. All right, so I like that. I'm pretty sure that's my answer. The beauty of any and every one of these problems, if you want to know if you're right, graph the standard and graph the vertex form and see if they match. All right, so let's do that real quick for this one. I'm not going to check every problem I do, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here, so you can do the same whenever you would like to. All right, so we get it in there, and I like the table, but you can also use the graph. If the tables are identical, which they are, we're all good. So I know I'm right. Now, that's a pretty easy example, but for comparison, really any problem that's in standard form is going to be just that easy. Little things here, you have your a is 1, your b is 4. The c in this problem, if you care, is 0. Just if you see that, but you don't have to write it. It's just if you need it for something. So let's get down to one of these that's a little bit funkier. So let's look at some of these like this. This one's kind of nasty. So this problem is not in standard form. So what I would like to do is do some algebra manipulation here to get it into standard form. Because once it's in standard form, I'm just going to do it like that problem. So, all right, so what are we dealing with here? On this side, we've got distributive property. So I'm going to have 1 half y, 1 half of 4 is going to be 2. Okay? And here I'm going to expand this. So we did this just the other day as well. All right, so going to have to do some distributing here. All right, so this side I'm not going to mess with at all yet. I'm going to get x squared. I'm going to get a minus 7x. I'm going to get another minus 7x. So that's minus 14x. And I'm going to get a plus 49. All right, I'm actually pretty close to standard form here. So this needs to get subtracted over. So then I'm going to have 1 half y equals x squared minus 14x. And that'll be plus 47. Cool. Final step, since that's being multiplied by 1 half, I want to get rid of that. So the easiest way to get rid of that, technically you can think of it as dividing by a half, but what really makes the most sense to do here is to multiply both sides just by 2, because when you do that, 2 times 1 half is going to make this just y. So that's going to double all these values. So I'm just going to rewrite it up here as what it is. So I have y equals 2x squared minus 28x and then plus 94. And now I would do this problem the same way I did number 1. Okay, so now I know my a value, I can use my h and k formulas, and I can finish out that problem. So that's the only like kind of nasty part they put on these problems. I think that's actually probably the worst one that I already helped you with. So anything else, if you look at it, you're going to notice it's going to follow the same exact thing. You know, you see a problem like 11. It's not in standard form. So move things around so they are. Like, so I know I want my y to this side, so I'm going to add my y over. And then I also know I'm going to need to just subtract these two to the other side. So I can actually do this one real quick. So I'm going to subtract this and this over. So what am I going to have? I still have this minus 9x squared. I added the y over. I'm going to have a minus 162x. I'm going to have a plus 731. Now it's in standard form. Okay, my a is -9, and I can do my formula to find my h and find my k. So again, your goal in every one of these is to get it in vertex form. So that's what the instructions say. That's what we're working on here. But that's your process. Get it to standard form, so then you can do it like we did on the very first problem. And that process isn't going to change as you go through these. So that should put you pretty good on the front page. For the back page, these ones say identify vertex, axis symmetry, sketch the graph. You're probably going to be able to fly through these. All right, so these are all in vertex form. So in vertex form, I believe, right? Yeah, vertex, every one of them. So perfect. Doesn't matter which one we do. So this one, our vertex is at h is 2, k is -4. So 2, -4. Remember how that works. It's always the opposite of this value, and then it's that value. So there's our vertex. So we're good there. So if it says identify, we can write it. We plotted it. We know what it is. Axis symmetry is the line that splits it down the middle. Okay, cool. Now, as far as sketching the graph, we do need another point. So there's a couple routes you can go here. I'll tell you, well, the simplest route is to use the slope. But I find that a lot of people get confused when we use this as a slope because you can only use it for going over 1. So this would mean it's going down 3 and right 1, and that's going to work. But when you get to these other ones here, this has to be down 1/4 and right 1. So you have to treat it for what it does for just one value. So if you don't like that, your next best strategy, which is what I would probably do, is just substitute a number in here. So obviously I don't want to substitute in 2 because I already know what it is at 2, but like substitute in 1. Let's see what we get. So if I put 1 into here, -3, and I do 1 minus 2, okay, so that's going to be -1, but squared is going to make it a +1. So it's just -3 minus 4, and it's going to be at -7. All right, so that means that when I put in 1, I got -7. So 1, -7. And that's why we put the axis symmetry on here, is because now we know that there's a point opposite of it, because it's always symmetric. And then we've got ourselves a nice little graph. So that's what I would personally recommend, is using your substituting a point in. Now you'll notice this does match exactly what I said with the slope. This is going down 3 and right 1. But again, the slope only works for going right or left 1 unit. If you try to do this problem and you go down 1 and right 4, you're not going to get the correct graph. Now, if you take this and you go down 1/4 and right 1, then it will work because it's not a linear function. It is curved, so it doesn't work the same way as linear. So again, I would strongly recommend just picking a point, plotting it, and then plotting its symmetric point. That's going to be your best way to make these. And that should put you pretty good. So work these out, check it on the key, and have a good intersession.